damaged by rape, or young girls who have had their vaginas so damaged by rape that they bleed and hurt for days or weeks. It's become a deceptive term for what can be lifelong harm and difficulties. The psychological and emotional harm may lessen over the years, but it will not disappear. So, the term child sexual abuse has become like a neatly packaged and benign term to hide and dismiss what is really incapacitating distress and harm experienced by these children, many of whom will, tragically, choose suicide as their only way of finding peace. So hiding behind this sort of genteelism, if you like, only serves to perpetuate a fiction that helps protect the people who committed the crimes, and a fiction that silences and further harms the victim or survivor and their families. So we're not going to pretend anymore. Let us not continue to preserve the decades of lies and cover-up. Let us not continue to cloak these horrific crimes in innocuous terms, and let us recognise and acknowledge these crimes for what they are and their shocking and horrendous lifelong impacts. The very powerful and wealthy men of the Catholic Church have been trying to silence victims and cover up the crimes of its clergy for far, far, far too long. But I can tell you they are not. They are not going to silence us anymore. We're going to make sure of that. When I contacted security here last week to book in the rally, it's a real democracy, isn't it? You ring up and book in a rally. They asked me who the group was putting on the rally. I said, well, there's no one particular group. I said, we're a group of concerned citizens. And I thought about that and I think, well, no, I don't think that's right. We're not a group of concerned citizens. We're a group of extremely concerned citizens. Extremely concerned. But we're also a group of very loud citizens. Come on, we're going to be loud. No more silence. I didn't expect that. We're also very determined. We're so determined that we're not going to give up until the deep-rooted, the profound injustices in this state of Victoria in relation to Catholic clergy sexual crimes are resolved. Access to justice for victims of crime is a human right. Access to justice for victims of clergy sex crimes is a human right. But that human right here in Victoria and the rest of Australia for clergy victims is severely compromised. For the possibly thousands, and we do not know the true number, of victims, survivors of Catholic clergy sex crimes in Victoria, there is no legal entity for the Catholic Church that you can sue, especially for historical sex crimes. The Catholic Church and Cardinal George Pell, he was then Archbishop of Sydney, argued in a New South Wales Court of Appeal case in 2007, said, yes, we have a legal entity for the Church. Yes, you can sue that entity, but only for property and financial matters. So if you're a victim of serious sexual crimes by our clergy, and you suffer for years and years, and your family suffers for years and years, well, you know what? That's just too bad. We don't care about you, says the Church. We don't give a rat's. We have the law on our side, says the Church. We have a legitimate legal defence. They say, OK, sue us, we'll see you in court, in the full knowledge that they, these powerful and wealthy men of the Church, can hide behind, or more skulk behind, what is a grossly unjust a thoroughly indecent and an entirely partisan legal defence. What cowardice! What absolute cowardice! Or, to use the contemporary blokey vernacular of today, these blokes don't have any balls. As a victim of crime, one also has a right and is entitled to compensation. But as a victim or survivor of Catholic clergy sexual crimes, you have few rights. You must rely on the very organisation that not only disbelieved you, but it protected and tried to hide the person who abused and raped you in the first place. You must go cap in hand to this church, firstly to try and convince them you were raped or assaulted. You must deal with being told that you are a liar. You must deal with being told you are crazy and you're making all this up. You must deal with being sent off for psychiatric assessments. You must deal with trying to negotiate what is fundamentally a church that is investigating and protecting itself. There is no independence in these church processes. There is no natural justice. There is no independence in these processes. There is no natural justice. There is no review process. There is no accountability. So this is not some story from the past I'm talking about. This is reality today, right now, around this country, and definitely happening right now in Victoria. So being compensated by the church, if you're one of the minority to be granted some compensation, and I have to say a paltry and insulting amount compared with the courts, it is without any liability or any legal obligation on behalf of the church. And it's only on the condition that you agree never to sue, not just the person who raped or assaulted you, you must never sue anyone else associated with the church. And you must never tell anyone else. You must continue the silence that protects your abuser. So being compensated by the Catholic Church for these crimes in Australia is at best, grossly inequitable and severely traumatic. At worst, it is futile and severely traumatic. About 4 months ago, news broke that 26 young men, all victims of Christian brother Robert Best and Father Ridsdale, had taken their own lives in the years following their sexual assaults, rapes and torture. That number rose to 35 when more families came forward. This number of 35, the ones we know about, relate to just 2 clergy and 2 schools. There are hundreds of Catholic schools in this state. Our Attorney General, Robert Clark, made a public commitment back in August and said he would take all of these matters very seriously. In fact, he assured the public that he is taking them very seriously, not just seriously. Well, not only is our Attorney General not taking these matters seriously by using delaying tactics, this government, by inaction, is increasing the risk of further suicides. This is absolutely not acceptable. Victoria Police and the government must take immediate action and hand over the details of these suicides to the state coroner. Our coroner has the power to reopen these cases of church-related suicides and the power to reinvestigate and come up with recommendations. Recommendations so that further suicides are prevented. We must stop these suicides. And so we've got a message for our government today. We have a very loud message. I want to hear you all, a loud message. Stop being beholden to the very powerful and wealthy Catholic Church. Stop using delaying tactics. all the while hoping that this issue will just simply disappear, or that we as a community will just forget about it. We will not forget about this issue, Mr. Clark. Not only will we not forget about it, we're going to keep coming back here and we're going to keep making a very loud noise for as long as it takes for your government, to our government, to show the community the respect that it deserves. We are not going away until your government holds a state-led, independent, statutory inquiry into what have been decades of despicable and reprehensible crimes against the children of this state. We are not going away until the details of all the suicides have been handed over to the coroner. Chrissy Foster said in her brilliant article in The Age yesterday, and I quote, "Are paedophile priests getting away with murder by way of their victims' suicides?" This government has the power to hold an inquiry. It has the power to prevent further suicides. But more importantly, it has a duty and a responsibility to prevent further suicides and to hold this inquiry. Thank you.